We are taking a look at the top free agents in this offseason for the NFL. The top name on everybody's board is T. Higgins. Break down T as a player, Jay. Give me his strength, what he does best.
He's been very productive in his 5 years at Cincinnati. He's got 34 career touchdowns. He's had some injuries, but he still averages over 13 yards per reception. He's long. He's 6'4". He's 220 pounds. He can go across the middle. He can block. He can make the big play. He's got enormous hands and enormous catch radius. You don't have to be perfect as a quarterback when you're throwing to T. Higgins because he can adjust to the ball on the fly, which is very, very important when you have tight coverage with some of these really good corners. He's not a speed merchant where he's going to run away from a lot of people, but he makes up for it with incredible hands, catch radius, and he's really good after the catch. Not afraid to go across the middle, size, speed, athleticism, hands, and he's got great ball awareness and skill. And he understands offenses, understands zones, where the holes are, and he's good enough and strong enough to beat man-to-man. So really not a lot of weaknesses other than he's had a few injuries in his career.
You just basically described how every receiver in the NFL wants to be described right there.
He's pretty good.
But that obviously is a reason why he's number one on everyone's boards in free agency. Colt, as a quarterback, having an alpha receiver like that, what's that do for the mentality of the quarterback and the offense?
Look at the Cincinnati Bengals, man. How fortunate they would be to have him come back with, him and Jamar Chase being your 1 and 2. It's really, you got 2 1s out there. The difference for T. Higgins, in my opinion, is he's 6'4", 220. Just the size matchup that you're going to get week in and week out. You can double cover him. You can take that, but then that opens everything else up. Like, no corner can really just stop a jump ball when you're throwing to T. Higgins. How many times has Joe Burrow done that with him? So I think that's the difference. And I think he's a one on essentially every team across the league. And there'll be a huge market for him. We'll see what happens.
Hey, Q, Jay mentioned the size, the strength, his ability to go across the middle, be a gritty receiver. You played with one of the best of all time in Larry Fitzgerald. What does having an alpha receiver like that do to the huddle? And give us a little glimpse of Larry, too, and how maybe T could try to channel that.
Yeah, everything Jay described is what Larry Fitzgerald was, and obviously T. Higgins is that guy. I guess the biggest question mark, which Colt and Jay could probably touch on a little bit more, is that he never really had to be the number one at the end of the day, right? He's always had Jamar Chase for the most part, right? Jamar's been the one. He can kind of be the 2. Fitz was the one and kind of had to remodel his game once he lost a step, once he got older in his career. And now from him being the deep ball threat and down the sideline guy that he was early in his career, became the inside guy, and then he became just as good of a receiver, just doing it a different way. The interesting thing will be whenever T goes to another team, if he goes to another team, because obviously Joe Burrow's making a public cry right now to get all the guys back, but if he goes to another team and now he's the number 1, is he that same receiver?
Well, you made a great point. It's can Joe Burrow do the contract gymnastics to make this thing work? The Cincinnati Bengals don't have the cap space. They got to get Jamar Chase figured out. Colt, this will go back to you. If you're a star quarterback and you're making all that money, are you going to be going to ownership saying, hey, take a little less money from me, give it to T? Is that something that's going to happen?
Heck yeah. You kidding me? They got to pay a lot of guys, right? They got Trey Hendrickson up, I think. But to have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins changes the game when the ball's in your hand. You always have people to throw to. If they're gonna play 2 safeties, you got to figure out how to run the ball. If they're gonna single you up, you got 2 options. Take your pick, right? So as a quarterback, 100%, Joe Burrow is gonna try to do anything he possibly can to get these guys signed. But for him to hit the market and to know what that value is gonna be, it would be Cincinnati's got. They got problems trying to figure this out. The one thing about T. Higgins, if you're going to try to find a knock at all, is just his health. He's been banged up at times. He misses a lot of games. This year he missed several. So, if another team's going to pay a big price for a receiver like him, you want that durability to, reflect in that be able to let's play a full season, right? And be the number 1. So I certainly think he can do it though. That's not a knock. That's just looking at the year that he had.
The one issue I have, he's on the Cincinnati Bengals. So yes, as a teammate, we would all love to have T. Higgins on the team. But as the Cincinnati Bengals and their organization, they do not bend their contracts. They are a relatively cheap organization. They have $44 million in cap space available. They could franchise tag T. Higgins again. I think the number's around $26 million. So maybe they could franchise him again. But Jay, I'll go to you on this. If he's not back with the Bengals, what's a team that you think that T. Higgins would look good in?
I would love to see him go to the Chargers. They got Lad McConkey, who's a good up-and-coming receiver, works a slot, inside receivers, but they need a big guy. This Quentin Johnson, he's run his course. Joshua Palmer, he's run his course. They need somebody for Justin Herbert to throw to. They can get open down the field. I think the Chargers become an instant contender in that AFC West if he can get T. Higgins on board with Justin Herbert.
Oh, I like that one a lot. Cole, any teams that come to mind?
I was going to say the Chargers too. I just think like him paired with McConkey, like all of a sudden Justin Herbert has like a guy that changes the game, right? Like their offense has the ability now to be very explosive, which at times they weren't. Listen, one thing's for sure. You guys have played just like me, but like owners can figure it out if you want to keep your guys on your team. I'm a proponent of him staying there because like I enjoy watching their offense play. Joe Burrow had one of the best years of any quarterback across the NFL. They just couldn't quite sneak into the playoffs. They lost too many games early, but like T. Higgins was a big piece of that.
No, he's a big piece. I'm looking at Jay right now because I know when anyone mentions cap space, Jay's going to make a comment about me and the cap space. Go ahead, Jay.
You're the cap space guru. You and Howie Roseman, I'll tell you that. And the Cleveland Browns, you all got it all figured out. Let me tell you that.
All right, well, me and AQ, we're actually the two ball knowers. We picked the Super Bowl right, so I saved AQ the best for last because AQ, give us the real team. Where is T. Higgins going to go?
I don't get enough pats on the back from my wife at home. I certainly don't get it from you guys, so I'm definitely I'm going to go here right there because I've been saying it for about a month. The Kansas City Chiefs tackles were going to be a problem, and they were. The Eagles were going to win. I did it. All right, let's keep it moving. I think he's going to go to the New England Patriots. Everybody keeps saying it, but I just think Mike Vrabel knows exactly how to construct a team. He knows exactly what he wants. And, oh, by the way, he's got a boatload of cash to spend right now. I mean, I think they have like 150, 160 million that they can go out and get the guys that they want. He goes up there. You pair him with a young superstar in Drake May. We've been able to see glimpses of what Drake May can do. Goes and gets a couple offensive linemen, brings in a new culture, which he did in Tennessee, obviously on the defensive side of the ball. Watch out for the New England Patriots coming back and being a playoff team real quick.
They have money to spend. I'm actually going to go with the Washington Commanders. I'm surprised Jay didn't go with this one. You look at Philadelphia, you look at A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and what they were able to do this year. If you look at the Commanders, they get that one alpha receiver. And Terry McLaurin's a stud too. It's like 1A, 1B, similar to what he has in Cincinnati. If they're willing to go out there and spend, I think the Commanders could be a team. You add that receiver to the mix. That is a dangerous, dangerous team, and I would not want to play them.
Yeah, that would be pretty silly to have him with Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. Like that would all of a sudden turn into the Cincinnati Bengals, right?
I mean, if you're looking at in terms of fit, what are some teams? Like some teams he might just not be a great fit for the style and scheme in which they run. Do you think T. Higgins is a great fit with the Chargers and John Harbaugh?
Yeah, I think T. Higgins is a player that you can build things around. When you go heavy personnel like the Chargers like to do and just run the ball, he could be your single that, if you want to play one-on-one and crowd the box, like good luck. Like you got to cover T. Higgins. There's certainly ways that he could fit into a Jim Harbaugh style system, Greg Roman, those guys out there.
What about like a Kansas City Chiefs? Like I know maybe contractually it might be tough, but it looked like they also need an alpha one receiver AQ. Like imagine if T. Higgins was out there, you might not even need offensive linemen. You could just throw it right up to him.
I mean, that would be an absolute cheat code to give him a guy like that. I mean, Patrick's been playing with guys who are threes everywhere else. And obviously, he goes and gets DeAndre Hopkins. We thought that was some big splash move. I mean, at the end of the day, he's past his prime, right? Like he's a glorified 2-3 at this point in his career. And even Travis Kelce, right? Like I think everybody's saying the same thing. He's lost a little bit of a step. And the speed guys have, been off and on injured, but he really hasn't had that true one since he had Tyreek, right? And so at the end of the day, if you give him a guy like that, watch out for the Kansas City Chiefs because, I mean, you put Patrick with any number one and fireworks are bound to happen.
That's what I'm saying right there too. Jay, is there any team that if you could take salary cap out of the equation and if they could just figure it out and make it work, you would put them on that team?
I would love to see them go to Green Bay as well. They have young receivers that are pretty talented, but to have a true number one alpha male to go along with Romeo Dubes and Wicks and Reed, I think would be outstanding. There's really not a team that I would say, don't go there because this guy's a great player. He can fit in. He's already fit in with the number one receiver in pro football, 1A with Jamar Chase. He's made it work. He can make it work anywhere. He's a big physical guy. He can line up on the ball, off the ball. He can do a lot of different things. Who knows? Maybe the Raiders go out and get Aaron Rodgers and they need a wide receiver, true number one. Maybe he goes out there with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and has a good time. there's a lot of teams that he could really help without a doubt. But Green Bay would be interesting to me because they have decent receivers. They just don't have that number one go-to alpha male, and T. Higgins can do that. Clean Pocket is sponsored by BetterHelp. We often hear about red flags, the things we should avoid. But what if we focused on the positives, the green flags? Just like everyone else, sometimes I can find it hard to look at the positives in life. Therapy can help you identify those positives, those green flags. No matter where you are in life, what you are doing, it's always important to prioritize yourself and work on highlighting the positives. It's very easy to think about the negatives in life. I'll tell you what, I've had personal experiences with being doubted, being booed, being fired. At Washington, I was fired in year 5. I was let go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was a coach in the Arena League. The Arena League folded. But the most important thing is focus on the positives. BetterHelp is a fully online therapy service that can help you identify and focus on those green flags. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/pocket today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/pocket.
Where does he rank? Where does he rank in the top receivers in the NFL? Is he a top 15 guy, top 20 receiver, Colt?
I think he's definitely a top 10 guy, right? I mean, like you're talking about a guy who is going to be a one on 20 different teams, probably. I think he's looking for a place to be able to do that. But at the same time, I think he loves playing with Joe Burrow. I think he loves the opportunities he gets playing alongside Jamar Chase. He could also be ready to spread his wings. Like the dude can flat out play. Just look at his frame, look at his catch radius, look at his 50-50 balls. You can throw it up to him. Like those things make a big difference.
Justin, listen to this. Okay. This is important now. When you're into free agency, you have the draft. And a lot of people say we can get a receiver in the draft. That may be true. 3rd, 4th round, 5th round, 2nd round, whatever. But the other free agents in this draft are Chris Godwin coming off a major injury, Stephon Diggs coming off an injury, Amari Cooper, who's seen his better days behind him, D-Hop obviously can't separate like he used to, Darius Slayton, and Keenan Allen. I mean, this is the only legitimate true number one you can get. So if you need a number one, somebody's going to pay this guy a lot of money, and he's going to help him out a lot because there's really slim pickings after this.
I wonder if he closes in on the $40 million a year mark. I mean, I know like $35 million is what Justin Jefferson's getting. When you list those names, I wouldn't be surprised if T. Higgins gets close to $40 million a year. Cole, you make a great point. If I'm the Bengals, I'm franchise tagging T. Higgins and not letting him walk out the door.
The Bengals can just slap the tag on him and he can't do anything. And if I'm the Bengals, that's exactly what I'm doing. You're talking about $26 million for a guy who's going to get close to 35 or 40 on the market. Like that's a deal all day long.
So we say that, and it sounds great. It sounds easy. Trey Hendrickson, the sack king, he's about to get 30 a year.
You still got to pay Jamar Chase.
You got to pay Jamar Chase, right? So they're in a predicament here. And oh, by the way, their defense was trash. So they got to figure out that side of it too, right? So there's all these moving pieces. We can't just be like, okay, well, it's a no-brainer. Joe Burrow's going to what? Joe Burrow's going to give up $20 million a year, $30 million a year?
I don't see how you could pay Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. Only if Justin Pugh could be the only one that could figure that one out. Other than that, man, you got to let him. Sometimes it happens. They'll get a conditional pick for him if he leaves, and you got to deal with it. It's just unfortunate they have too many good players at key positions on offense. They got to fix the defense. They got to pay Hendrickson. They got to get some. They need help over there.
All right, we'll see if the Cincinnati Bengals can hit up Howie Roseman and see if he'll do some consulting for them. If you guys like this content, we're going to be talking about all the free agencies. Where do you think T. Higgins ends up? Drop that in the comments. Make sure you're following along because we're going to be doing this for all the free agents, draft, combine, all your NFL information. Clean Pocket Podcast.
In football, every game means more during the playoffs, and you can start your own personal playoffs on Underdog, where you could cash in on touchdowns, interceptions, yards, or more. All you have to do is pick higher or lower, and you could take home up to 1,000 times your money if you get your picks right. It's that simple. Millions of fans have already won billions of dollars making picks. Sign up for Underdog today using promo code POCKET, capital POCKET, and you'll get a free pick as a part of your first cash entry plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Again, that's promo code POCKET.